when you're ready.
I'm clear.
Okay. Okay. Checking mags. Mag.
That's a little rough, huh?
It?
What do you think? Try it again. No, it's all right.
Yeah. Okay, going back to boat. Right mag. Sounded rough to me.
All right. That's probably because it's so rich. Try that, the right one again. Boy, that was a big difference, huh? It's due to richness.
Okay. Okay, go back to boat. Pressure green, temperature still not green, we'll wait for it. Vacuum green, amp meter, good fuel flow positive. We are good. I don't. On except landing and
Okay.
turn on landing when we.
Yep.
Point, so we are at runway 31. We rotate at 55. If you're not in the air by the second taxiway, 100
Sorry?
feet. How much is the runway until second taxiway?
There's 1,000 remaining from the second taxiway.
Right, so approximately 1,500.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're not in the air by that time, we just put the takeoff.
See, the wind socket's almost straight across.
Right, right. And if the engine fails while runway remaining, we land straight ahead. If the engine right after takeoff, we are going in.
Okay.
Airspeed, we are 55, VX 62 by 74, best glide 68.
Okay.
And transponder 1200 set.
Yep.
Ready. Okay. All to ground, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, run up complete.
4 Sierra Papa, hold short Yankee 1, contact tower.
Hold short Yankee 1, contact tower, 494 Sierra Papa. All to tower, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, holding short Yankee 1.
Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, pilots tower. Areas of light and occasional moderate precipitation is depicted west of the field, eastbound and northeast of the field over the snow grade. Right crosswind is your discretion. Wind 250 at 5, runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Runway 31, clear for takeoff, 494 Sierra Papa.
Of course, Sierra Papa, we acknowledge the weather. We have onboard weather. Thank you.
Is that something we should say?
It's not required, but I'm just letting him know he doesn't have to worry about us.
Okay.
I'm looking at the weather, you know, where the, it's really pretty light.
Track 7610 Papa Alto Tower, pull up, hold short runway 31, departing traffic. Be advised, areas of light to moderate precipitation depicted over the field and to the west, eastbound.
Hold short runway 31, system zero, roger on the weather.
pattern, wind 260 at 6, runway 31, clear for takeoff, right traffic.
Clear for takeoff, right traffic, runway 21, 610.
So no headwind meaning bigger ground roll.
Yep. Exactly right. Let's climb to 2,500.
Okay.
We'll make our right turn at the auto bridge, or just before.
Track 61 Sierra, wind 2705, runway 31, clear for the option.
Clear for the option, runway 31, 61 Sierra.
Follow the auto bridge, because the inbounds follow the railroad bridge. So if somebody's inbound, we don't want to be head-to-head with them unnecessarily.
Right.
All right, simulated engine failure. We're going to use this as a way of getting down for our ground reference maneuvers.
I'm going to use this
What are the immediate items?
about fuel pump on
Yeah,
and bridge.
that's it. I'm going to get the fuel pump back off. And now, you're pointed to a field?
Yeah, I'm going to use this field right there.
Okay.
Okay, so we had a left crosswind, so we're going to land like this.
Okay.
And
Power check.
okay, longer flow. Pressure, temperature. All the circuit breakers are
61 Sierra, wind 270
off.
runway 31, clear for the
Uh,
option.
Clear for the option.
That magneto didn't work. Right magnitude, both wind power. Um, and yeah, so nothing worked. We would get an emergency mayday, mayday. 494 Sierra Papa, having injured going down. I don't.
Just east of Coyote Hills, general reference point.
Right.
My throttle, and you'd squawk 7700.
About 7700. This. 1,000 feet. Also go to that.
Well,
Not going to change our.
yeah, that one you're not going to make on a downwind and land into the wind. It's too far away now. My throttle. Okay. Now don't get too far. You know, we got a little wind in that direction. You're not going to go that far. And you got wires you got to get over, so keep the base in a little tighter. Got lots of distance past the wires. You don't want to hit the wires, right? So don't get too slow here. We're 64 knots, ground speed's 59. Yeah, we're just making it over these wires with 10 flaps. So it might have been a little early. You really went out a little far. Now you could go to full flaps and be in the field. Let's go around. We're good. Climb up to 1,000 feet, and you can make an immediate left turn. Let's go over to Leslie Salt. Okay, pretty good job.
Confirmation Bravo, current wind variable at 5, light rain, ceiling 3,000 overcast, altimeter 29 or 89er, runway 31 in use, hazardous weather information available.
From the top, I didn't see the wires.
I just want to show you something. I have the airplane for just a moment. And what we're going to do here is we're going to circle a field that's behind us. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's actually a known emergency field. So it's going to turn till you can see it. So this field here with the lines this way and that kind of that gray strip up the middle,
Yeah.
that's actually considered an emergency landing area by the Park Service.
Okay.
And one of my clients actually landed in that field. Can you guess how long that field is from berm to berm along that line?
East 1500.
700.
700?
Yep.
Okay.
I've walked it and measured it with the GPS on the ground.
Okay.
So that's long enough to land in, but not by a lot.
Right. Yeah, I thought of that one first, but I thought the other one was longer.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
I'm just showing you this as a known field.
Sure. Yeah, it was in my radar, yes.
Okay, your airplane?
My airplane?
We're pretty nicely set up for a rectangular course around our big 8 ponds.
Okay.
Track 61 Sierra, extend downwind, I'll call your base.
Send that one to Frontier.
7 Foxtrot Alpha.
And is this part of the phase check?
Could be.
Okay.
Clear for takeoff, runway 31, 7 Foxtrot.
So we are, if we use the 8 ponds where we have to come to the right, or you could make an S-turn so that we can make our first turn from crosswind to downwind. Actually, let's see, given the wind direction, what do we got? 86, 87. We have a tailwind right now. At this altitude, this altitude we have a tailwind.
Okay.
So you see the 92 knots versus 86?
Right.
So this is a tailwind.
Okay.
I'm not sure which way the wind is going actually, but here we have a tailwind component.
Should we come from that side?
Well, no, you normally want to enter downwind
Right.
because that's where the turn is going to be widest.
Right.
If 30 degrees is our limiting bank angle,
Right.
then if we go to 30 degrees, that defines how far from the field we have to be. So you can just visually set up to be far enough to the right of the edge of the field as an initial guess. And when we make this first turn, that'll establish how close the closest we can
line.
be. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 times 2, the 8 ponds.
Right.
So we're really close to this edge because I can't see it. Right now we have almost no wind. We're indicating 95. Now don't get too close and don't turn before the edge of the field, right? The edge of these ponds. So we really want to be on this heading.
I see. Oh, so this is the line we're going to use?
Yeah, right here, this is the end.
Okay.
So we can turn now. So it's the 8 ponds, and you go right into a 30-degree bank, because we think this is downwind. So this turn defines the distance we have to stay from the field. So these 8 ponds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the next 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see them? You got it all?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're converging on the edge. You're going to cut this end off. I don't think we're on the same page here about what we're doing.
Okay,
This is 8 ponds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Correct.
And to be flying around it as a big field, you got to be way over here, right?
Why don't you show me, boss? Why don't you show
Okay.
me first? Because I'm confused about the geometry here.
We're supposed to be going around this big field.
Okay.
That's composed of these 8 ponds.
Right.
So we have to be able to see the edge from this side, right?
You want to circle?
Yes, it's a
Okay.
rectangular course.
I see. Okay.
Did you think we were doing turns around a point?
I thought we were doing S turns.
No, okay, so I guess you didn't hear me. So this first one is rectangular
Okay,
course.
yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. So
Your airplane?
my airplane. So just keep the same distance on
All the way
each
around.
edge. Okay,
Yep.
got it. That makes sense.
When I was pointing out 8 ponds, S turns across the road, you don't need an area, you just need a road.
Right.
So my pointing out 8 ponds means that's a field.
Huh.
So remember, the wind's probably going this way.
Right.
And we got to be angled out a little so we don't get closer.
Check 61 Sierra, number 2, follow Cessna, head on the downwind, wind 250 at 6, runway 31, clear for the option.
And just so you know, we're sufficiently close that I can't see the edge of that field.
Okay.
And you want to, and so when we're going the other way, here comes the edge, right? There's the edge right there.
Right.
So right there, it looked like on that edge we had an 8-knot headwind.
Catches the amphitheater, but not across their departure corridor. Roger, 7 Foxtrot Alpha.
And look at what's happening now. We're getting closer. The wind is, actually we should be blowing out. You're right, you're crabbed in, that's correct.
Yeah, the wind is blowing it this way.
Yeah, so we need to be crabbed a little that way.
Okay, I'm going to assume this line, okay? I'm going to just...
Yeah, there's that kind of dogleg edge. That's our edge. What were our starting numbers on altitude and speed?
I did not notice that.
No, so that's a critical part of this maneuver is what are you going to fly it at?
Okay.
And we started at 1,000 feet and 90 knots. Completion standards are plus or minus 10 knots, plus or minus 100 feet. We'll take it around through another 180 degrees a turn. So that edge and the next edge, and then we'll turn around and go the other way. Don't have to turn quite so steeply. Again, look at the edge of the field. It's really low. It's down there. We're closer here than we were on the last leg.
I'm using the same line on the ground as a reference, which is just below me right now.
Okay.
I remember
so we are too close on this edge.
I remember you saying that, and I did correct it this time.
All right, when we get to the edge, let's make a left turn, which is now. Left turn now. And as soon as we pass the road, we're going to make a right 270 back the other way. So we take, this is one way of making a course reversal.
So those have Foxtrot Alpha, do you need to be extending for such a wide pattern, or are you going to be...
Okay, now right turn.
We're doing that for practice, but we'll keep it tight. Then Foxtrot Alpha.
A little tighter. Yeah, that's good.
So I just need to know, because it affects how planes are going to be able to follow you if you needed to extend on downwind especially. Okay, Roger, 7 Foxtrot Alpha. Track 61 Sierra, follow Cessna, 2 o'clock, a mile and a half, turning to the downwind just inside the...
And we're going to continue to turn to take the field down our right side. So outside we're looking, we look inside and we see we're 100 feet high and going high, and we're 10 knots slow. So just put, yeah, that's right. So just pitch down. And now you can see it's harder to see out the right side. You can't see across the window rail.
Yep.
So you have to be a little wider, and we like to be the same width right and left. So you want to set yourself up wide enough when you're making your left turns that you can do the same thing on the right turns.
Right picture is different.
Yes, it is. That's the point. All right, that's correct. You want to scan the point out over the nose for pitch, bank, traffic, and obstructions, and inside for speed and altitude, and then back to the outside ground reference again.
Sounds like the right distance.
Yep, this is a good distance. What's happening though?
I'm pushing down.
Oh, look at that. So part of this is developing that feel for trim. So the airplane's trimmed at 90, and the only time you have to hold any force is back pressure in the turn. Other than that, the airplane should fly itself. Should be trimmed out. Turning a little early. Remember, the wind's coming from this direction. So if anything, we needed to go a little further before we turn, because you'll probably be a little closer on this side now.
Like loosen the turn a little bit.
That's it. That decreasing the bank angle, widened this out. Very good correction. Good planning. And that's about the same distance, so you could tighten it up a little, tighten up the turn a little so we don't go even wider. And we have to be angled out just a little bit if the wind indeed is from that direction. It does seem to be moving around a little bit. let's take it around one more time, and then we'll convert to S-turns across the road. So on this heading, right now we're getting an 8 to 9 knot headwind. Let's see what happens when we turn 90 degrees.
Getting blown away. Like we're getting blown away this side.
Which way are we getting blown, do you think?
This
Okay, that would indicate, yeah, that's what we were seeing before, is the wind's going this way. We're being blown into the field.
Right. That's why I'm not tightening the turn. Light. The road light?
Yeah, it's a signal light on the railroad line there. Maybe, I'm not sure. There is a rail line. That line going down there is rail. As we cross over it, you'll see that. We're at 92, indicating 102, so 10 knot tailwind out of the west. Yeah, we're getting blown a little wider. Blowing us out this way a little bit.
We are closer a little bit.
No, we're almost exactly the same place we were last time. Yes, the wind might actually be from about that way. Because we're getting a headwind on this leg and that leg, which indicates that it's probably there. We'll watch as we turn. I'll see what the wind does, what the ground speed does. Yeah, we got a little wider there.
It's taking a little turn, so.
So we're definitely wider here.
Wider?
We are wider than last time, a little bit wider. The wind is somewhere like there, so I could put this as a bug. And what does that tell us about what road we want to use here for S-turns across the road?
Maybe this road? Right?
Yeah, this would be good. So let's pass it, turn back around so we make our first turn downwind. Right now we're upwind, and it's harder to judge how much to turn. So just keep going straight. We'll make a left turn after we go out a bit, so we come back on this edge of the road and work that way.
Got it.
Also just try to look at visually our ground speed. This looks slower than the other way, visually. 92, 84, 8 knot headwind component.
Okay.
All right, this is probably far enough, so make a left turn. Left turn.
Yeah, I'm just giving myself some space.
Okay. And make it moderately tight so that we can get established on a perpendicular before we get there. Roll out right here, and we're going perpendicular to the field, the road which goes right in front of us. We need to be about here to be perpendicular.
This road or that road?
So past the salt pile, the one just past the salt pile that we're about to cross in about 5 seconds.
Okay.
So we're coming up on it, we're just about to cross it, and we'll make our first turn to the left, and you're looking for 30 degrees of bank. 3, 2, 1, now 30, 30, right? This is where we fly our steepest bank. And we should be holding 30 until almost the 90-degree point. So this sets our distance, and then as we turn into the wind, we're going to shallow the bank as needed to cross the road at a 90-degree heading. We're slowing down your turn. You're not going to finish it before you get to the road. But not too steep, because we don't want to be flying straight. We want to get to the road perpendicular heading just as we get there. Now here we're a little early, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds early. Try about a 20-degree bank now, because we have to go out further this way.
Passing off your right, and the downwind altitude indicates 800.
Now you've nosed up when we've slowed down. That changes a lot.
Precipitation appears to be approaching.
So keep turn right.
Will be continuous moderate precipitation, currently about 10 miles west of the field, slowly
And we got to increase the bank angle. See how we're getting really wide?
Yeah,
we're stretching the things, and we're not going to make our 90 degrees.
So should we finish right here?
Well, where it is along the road doesn't matter. What does matter is we cross the road at 90 degrees. And see, if we get really far out, it's hard to see the road. There's 90. Now go back the other way. Right into a 30, because we're going downwind. And it's really hard to make these loops symmetric if the speed is changing. Because the turn radius changes, your altitude's going low, that's why the speed is high. Nose up a little. Right, you see this? Low altitude, high speed. I think we're turning just a little too fast, but not bad.
Yes.
So you got to keep turning. You can't fly straight. And here we've reached perpendicular, and then a small bank the other way, not too steep, because if you turn too steep, you won't be able to finish the turn before you cross the road again. Maybe we'll demo that once. I'm not sure you're getting that. You had to go to 45 degrees of bank to cross in time.
Yep.
And notice speed is high, altitude is low.
Can we use trim here?
Well, you can, but what you should do, you should be trimmed before you enter, and then not use it anymore, because every time you're using it, you're changing something. And that's why the speed is changing so much. What we want to be doing is establish trim for 90 when we're downwind, and then as you start to turn, add just a little power, because we're going to have a little higher drag in the turns.
Right.
Let's go straight, and we'll do it. Let me just demo the entry. I have the airplane.
Okay.
So first thing is you're holding a lot of downforce. Right, as soon as you let go, the airplane pitched up. So you want to try to be a little more sensitive to how much you're pushing or pulling. And really, we shouldn't be pushing or pulling at all. Tiny bit of down trim, a little power to go up. Okay, so that's pretty darn close to, and we're going to make a 180. And I'm thinking about 2050 for level flight power, so 2100 in the turn. Want a little trim here, tiny bit. We're looking for 90 knots throughout. Again, every time you change speed, you're changing turn rate and diameter. I can't do a good job on this maneuver if I let the speed change. All right, so here's our road. We roll out. I'm expecting about 2050 RPM, maybe a little less. The trim is pretty close. Need a little bit of down and a little less power. So we're coming up on the road at a 90. Right. So here I'm just going to add about 50 RPM. We're crossing the road. 30 degrees of bank. I look outside and I maintain the pitch. Altitude is pretty much staying the same, maybe a tiny bit less power. I'm watching the road. Quick glance in, altitude and speed are good, slightly fast. So maybe a tiny bit of up trim. Speed's good, watching the road, watching the convergence rate. This is looking really good. Just before we get to the road, we'll go right back the other way at a 20-degree bank. Altitude's good, speed's good. And slowly the bank angle should increase. Altitude's going low, speed's going a little high. I need to pitch up a tiny bit. Okay, speed and altitude are good. Need a tiny bit of power to maintain. See how much tighter my turn is? I didn't widen it out. Altitude good, speed good. We're coming up to the road. What's our bank angle? Almost 30, right where it should be. Perfect. Right turn to left turn. Oh, I went 100 feet low while I was doing that. We're a little low on power, so I don't want the speed to change. I'm just adding power to go back up. Speed staying the same. Altitude's coming up, speed's the same. We're coming up on the road, we'll shallow the bank angle. And as I cross the road, I'm just gonna momentarily roll level and then go the other way, 20 degrees of bank. Now you can take the airplane from me, and everything is set up pretty accurately. I'm not using much force on the elevator. So we should be slowly increasing the bank. So you've already gone past 30, and that may make you turn too far. You'd go beyond 90. Speed's a little high, so altitude's good. So a tiny bit less power, nose up, and then reverse.
Starbreeze 224, Romeo Alpha, Pod Tower, Roger, Pod altimeter 29er, 89er. There is a line of moderate precipitation approaching from the west.
Careful, you're producing power, and I hear the RPM changing. Not too bad. Now, the wind blew us wide, and if we continue to turn at this rate, we're going to be perpendicular to the road before we get there. Oh, but wait, you let the nose down, speeds up to 105, and that changes the rate of turn.
But, okay.
Now, this would be fine for the phase check. It's not great for the flight test.
Got it.
So let's do one more pair of turns, and then we'll do something else. Yeah, those RPM changes should be alerting you to the fact that the airspeed is changing. You see, my whole RPM change was plus or minus 50. That was it. Now, you're up to 35 degrees of bank. We're going to hold this here. Watch what happens. You're going to go past 90 degrees. So we were turning too rapidly, too much bank angle, and you passed 90. We could go one the other way and then we'll reverse. But now we're doing a lot of this. And again, if we change speed, we change rate of turn, we change turn diameter. Everything gets harder to figure out. Much easier if you can work on your pitch attitude so that we maintain speed and altitude. We'll cross the road, we'll go wings level, then we'll go back the other way. You rolled out too early, and the nose is way too high. See how low the speed is?
Right.
It's particularly bad when you're going into the wind, because that makes the rate of turn high and the turn radius small, and you won't be able to finish the turn before you cross the road again. And so we kind of forgot to do that.
Should I enter one more? Like take a U-turn, come back?
Sure, do one more. We've done one more set. You can make a left turn.
Okay.
And that way you'll get the full width of the road. But work on getting us back to 90 knots and 1,000 feet. Here's a coordination indicator. See the water's going across a little bit?
Right.
It's because we're not flying in the same direction we're pointing and need a little right rudder. That's very funny. The water should be streaming straight up the windshield. Okay, watch, you're going past 90 degrees.
Track 61, Sierra, runway 31, taxi back via Zulu each time.
Okay, so we'll try to maintain 90.
90 and 1,000. I just pitch for 90, power for altitude, and turn rate to get your 180.
Alpha, wind 220 at 4, runway 31, clear for the option.
Clear for the option.
So look outside, pitch just went down. That happens before the altitude changes. Now you're rolling out a bit, which widens the turn and slows down the turn rate. Watch your pitch, it just went down again.
So basically put some back pressure.
Yeah, have to, right. Yeah. Just like any other turn, but we're trying to maintain speed. And notice what's happened here. We're in perpendicular several seconds before we get to the road.
Okay.
There's cross. I'll just shut up and let you work on it for a while.
Palo Alto Tower, Satabria 224 Romeo Alpha with Bravo. Will be inbound for landing full stop. Satabria 4 Romeo Alpha, make right traffic, runway 31, traffic 11 o'clock, 2.5 miles, maneuvering Cessna, altitude indicates 900. Looking for Cessna and right traffic, runway 31, offsetting right for Romeo Alpha.
Just to the left of your nose and 900 feet below you, Remus.
31 Satabria, altitude indicates 1,800.
Of course, Sierra Papa, Roger, we're looking for him and called him out. Gotcha in sight, Remus.
Hey, Steve.
Look, we're nose down, we're losing altitude. Yeah, see, we finished the turn way out here.
Low and to your left. Okay, we are still looking for altitude for Romeo Alpha going towards KGO. Satabria 4 Romeo Alpha, just maintaining at or above 1,500 for now, and then you can just make right traffic, should stay above them. Okay, maintaining current altitude for Romeo Alpha.
2 o'clock low, Remus. Correction, 11 o'clock low.
Satabria 4 Romeo Alpha, they're maneuvering off your left, lower 900 in a right-hand orbit.
9 o'clock to you now, low.
Okay, inside for Romeo Alpha.
All right, let's do some turns around a point. We're a little wide for the center of the 8 ponds, so we can spiral in just a little bit. And normally we like to enter the first turn to the left, but we're in perfect position to enter to the right.
The line of mud or precipitation
Okay. And how do I
Hold
decide?
on.
just west of St. Carlos and is encroaching on San Francisco now.
Of course, Sierra Papa, thank you. So, what was your question?
The distance.
Well, so just from practice around here, we know that about the width of these 8 ponds works pretty well. So you see that there's a little porta potty right in the middle of the 8 ponds? There's a little shack down there?
Yeah.
So this is a pretty reasonable distance. Let's just try to maintain this. Since the ponds are longer this way than that way, we should be a little bit outside the edges as we go around, on the sides, and just over the edges in this direction. Make sense?
Yep.
Again, holding speed constant helps a lot. And we're going into the wind now. We got 85 and 75, 74, so we got a 10 knot headwind now. You see the porta potty?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
we got too
we're
close.
passing. Now this is actually a really good distance. So see if you can maintain this distance all the way around. You're throttling back because we're high, but we're also a little slow. So probably would have been better just to nose down a little bit and turn some of that altitude into speed. Okay, we'll do one more full 360 and then we'll reverse. If the trim is right when you come into it, you shouldn't need to change it much throughout. It's because you'll be trimmed for speed. So once the speed is right, the altitude changes are just with power. This is,
7 Foxtrot Alpha, wind 21.
you're exactly in the same place you are in the last turn.
31 clear for takeoff, and would like to request a right dumbar departure for 7 Foxtrot Alpha.
7 Foxtrot Alpha.
Now you're flying a straight line. It should always be turning.
Every 4 Romeo Alpha, 1 Cessna Zulu, a beam Yankee 2 will depart ahead of you, wind variable at 3, runway 3.
Okay, you looked in. Did you see what's wrong?
Runway 3.
You're 150 feet high and a little slow. So we're 100 feet high and on speed, which means a little less power to slowly trend down in altitude. Now once we pass along this road going through the middle, we're going to do a different course reversal maneuver. So we're going to turn about 30 degrees to the right here, and then we're going to fly straight. So keep turning, keep turning, keep turning, a little further. Okay, fly straight, and we're going to fly this way for about 30 seconds. Now you're on speed and on altitude. You need a little more power to maintain altitude. Okay, let's make a left turn. And we'll take the point down our left side to do a couple left turns around it. Speed is good, altitude's going down a little. You need a little power, like 50 RPM. Now we can roll out on this heading. A little more right rudder on your rollout. And we went a little further than we needed to. That's probably because of the wind. So we want to just keep going upwind here. Don't turn, just keep going upwind till we pass the point, and then we'll make a turn around to the left. This is a really good time to work out the trim, so if you let go, see nose goes up a little bit, you need a tiny bit of down trim. So now you're trimmed for speed, and you can control altitude with power.
Contact ground, have a good day.
How's our distance?
Closer.
Sorry?
Looks closer because
Yeah, it's a lot closer. You started the turn a little too soon.
and I'm sitting in the left.
Well, you want it to be the same one to the other.
Yeah.
Now don't roll out too much unless you're trying to widen the whole turn, trying to spiral out.
Yeah, I was just trying to stay at the
Okay,
edge.
all right. Remember, the ponds are rectangles, so we should be a little inside this edge if we're on that edge. Does that make sense?
Right.
It's supposed to be a round turn around the point, not an oval. So I'd look down and say, looks good on the point. Got to turn increase the rate of turn a little because we're going wide.
7 Foxtrot Alpha.
Speed's good, altitude's good.
1 o'clock, 2.5 miles.
Now we're into the wind now, so the bank angle has to be lower, and there's 15 degrees. That's looking good.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, traffic outbound on the right dumbar and about a mile northeast of KGO. Altitude indicates 1,000 northeastbound Cessna.
4 Sierra Papa, we're looking for 7 Foxtrot Alpha. You see how we're much wider this time, and this is where we're supposed to be. We've widened the turn. This is good.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Then you accomplished what you were trying to do. It's good.
I'm going to be outside the edges on the next
Okay.
leg.
But keep the turn going. You're flying almost a straight leg. It should always be turning. All right, we'll do 180 degrees more turn. And maybe we'll go back to Palo Alto after this and do some landings and takeoffs and landings. Which as the weather comes in, so look ahead here. See the clouds have come down and they're on the top of Mission Peak. So that's 2300. So the weather's slowly getting worse, which means it's a good time to go to a place where we want to be if we have to stop. This is looking pretty good.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa outbound traffic, no factor.
4 Sierra Papa, thank you.
Cessna 7 Foxtrot Alpha, previous issue traffic, no factor. Flight following suggest NorCal approach 125.35. Good day.
Good day, 7 Foxtrot Alpha. Thank you much.
All right, much better. This second turn was pretty good. Speed and altitude. See how you're doing much better on speed and altitude? And it's all a matter trim, power, and attention.
Yep.
All right, let's roll out here and apply some power. We can go to full power or climb up to 1,500. We'll check and see if the ATIS has changed and let the nose come up. We're trying to climb.
Rain. Sky conditions, ceiling 3000 overcast, temperature 9er, 2.5, altimeter 29er, 89er. GPS approach in use, landing and departing runway 31. Has this weather information available on flight service frequency? Use caution for bird activity on and in the vicinity of the airport. Read back full chart instructions and runway assignment. Advise ground control of departure request. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Bravo.
Bravo's the code.
And
1500's good. You can level off.
Follow the tower information, Bravo. 2247 Zulu observation. Wind variable at 4.
Variable at 4. Okay, so you can tell the tower we're leaving Leslie Salt inbound for pattern work with Bravo.
follow the tower, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa at Leslie Salt with information Bravo, inbound for pattern work.
Cessna 494 Sierra Papa, about sir, make right traffic, runway 31.
Right traffic, runway 31, 494 Sierra Papa.
Okay, we can probably throttle back and start descending, but turn a little right, throttle back, start descending. We're trying to reach the pattern at 800 feet.
Right.
So figure out your descent.
The radar indicates a cell of moderate precipitation just off your left for a couple of miles. It appears if you go to midfield or to the right 45, you should be able to get around in about another mile or so.
First here, Papa Roger, we're really not seeing much rain up here. Okay, we're supposed to be descending, and we're still climbing. An important part of the phase check is to show that you can reach the pattern at pattern altitude. Altitude awareness. Normally we'd be like down at 1,200 feet here, so we're high.
Yeah, I want to figure out as I cross the bay.
Well, you got to beat 800 feet. That's what they care about, that you get the airplane down low enough at the airport. We're 3 miles from the airport, which is going to be about 2 minutes. Got to come down almost 700 feet. No, not even through 2 minutes, minute and a half.
Variable at 3, currently showing 210 at 3, runway 31. Clear for the options on the go, make right close traffic.
Clear for the option, runway 31, Cessna 494 Sierra Papa.
Right traffic on the go for Sierra Papa.
by the time we join the pattern?
We're going to be high. I think most of the phase check pilots want you to be at 800 here.
Here?
Yeah, they're not so much in my frame of mind of staying high over the water.
Aha.
So.
I can be 800 in another.
Yeah, but we're essentially on the downwind already, right? So we're a little late getting down.
I mean, I was intentional about it.
Okay,
I could
but
just...
again, for the phase check,
Right.
get down a little earlier.
Okay.
And if this was your intention, then you did exactly right.
Like what we've been doing.
Yeah. Make sure you check your passenger's seatbelt too. Or say something. Say, seatbelt's on, you fool.
Wind check.
Wind 200 at 4.
Okay, that was awfully low. I had to help that one out. I was afraid you were going to strike the nose gear. You'd go if you go now. I have flaps to 10. Nose up a little, just a little bit. We'll lift off as soon as we're ready. There's one. The rain can make it harder to assess your altitude.
Yeah. And can the rain, can my tires skid on the road?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. How do I prevent that?
Land slow and don't depend on a lot of braking force.
Okay.
The third thing is make sure the tires are fully inflated before we fly. We can talk about hydroplaning when we're done. Air Force Sierra Papa, do you show the airport to be under light or moderate rain?
Sierra 4 Sierra Papa, area over Palo Alto Airport itself shows light precipitation with areas of moderate precipitation just to the south and all the way through to the east.
Thank you. That's about the same as the ADSB onboard stuff shows. Thanks.
Sierra 4 Sierra Papa, roger. And then there's an additional further line of, it looks like a moderate precipitation from the west. It looks like all the way from the south to the north end of the scope that is further approaching.
Yeah, I see that over Woodside and then kind of slanting out to the southwest.
Cessna 4 Sierra Papa, winds variable at 4, currently showing 190 at 4, runway 31, clear for the option.
Clear for the option. 194 Sierra Papa, runway 31.
So 190 is really a bit of a tailwind, right? When we're on 3-1. See, it's there, and we're going to be landing that way, so we have a little bit of a tailwind. Which means...
Larger, like longer ground roll.
No, less power. Oh yeah, longer ground roll, but less power on final and an earlier power reduction, because we'll float down the runway further. Because the wind won't be steepening our descent, it'll be shallowing it.
Watch out for it.
Yep, plan ahead is the key concept. You need to choose your aim point shorter.
Passenger seat. It's hard to see.
Yep. Yeah, it looks very different. The AIM talks about all these optical illusions from rain. There's enough water on the windshield, you actually get a refraction effect and the angles look different. Why Pappies are so nice, Pappies and Vasies. Careful, the winds from the right will go, from the left rather, will, that's what just happened. We blew right through to the right. You can land. You can go full flaps and power off, we'll land. Power off. We should probably make this one a stop. Let's get to the center line. Just gently steer to the center line. See the windsock? Quartering tailwind.
Yeah, and that's why, yeah, I was not descending.
4 Sierra Papa, taxi back or terminate.
Taxi back, 4 Sierra Papa.
4 Sierra Papa, runway 31, taxi back via Zulu, each time tower frequency and advise on termination.
Taxi back each time via Zulu and will advise termination. Cessna 4 Sierra Papa. The beauty of what we're doing here is that, you know, a low-time private pilot would have no business flying in this weather. But if you should ever be in it, you can say, okay, you know, probably should have gone and landed by now, but we'll just go someplace and land and it's fine. Speed kind of moving along fast now. Look off to your left. See how fast we're going visually. The GPS says 11 knots, but that's got a lag. Mine says 17. So those slots in your tires are there to give a place for water to go to get out of the way of the tire. The deeper the water, the harder it is for it to go out through those slots, the tread. So when we're down to almost no tread, the tire can't get the water out, and it's easier for the tire to hydroplane.
4 Sierra Papa, if you start picking up a tailwind component, let me know. Winds have been variable between 160 and 250 at 4, runway 31, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 31, Cessna 49 and 4 Sierra Papa.
We actually had a tailwind on the last couple, but we'll stay with this for now.
The force parameter showed variable at 4 knots. If you need to switch, just let me know. We can do it, no problem.
look at the windsock. Looks like we got about a 3 or 4 knot tailwind component.
Downwind, the rolling longer?
Yeah, we'll take more distance because it takes more distance across the ground to get up to flight speed.
Right.
Let's throttle back. I don't want us to be going too fast. What I'd like to, and bring us back in a little closer, I'd like us to do a power off in each direction. So you might want to leave the flaps up for the moment. So,
When you say each direction?
so we're going to land on 3-1 power off. We'll take off, we'll reverse and land on 1-3 power off. It's an unusual opportunity to be able to do this. So space your...
Papa, wind 180 at 4, runway 31, clear for the options.
Clear for the options, runway 31, 4940 Sierra Papa.
So downwind beam, maybe the windsock will go power to idle and keep it high. Remember, we do have flaps to get down.
Right.
So a few more seconds. Okay, power to idle. Gas mixtures, power to idle, all the way to idle. So we're going to lose a little more altitude this way because the wind is coming from that direction. And we'll tend to float on the downwind a bit. Remember, normal approach speed. Once you got the field made, you don't need best glide, fly it to make it, fly at normal approach speeds.
Palo Alto Tower 437 Foxtrot Alpha, approaching Coyote Hills with information Bravo, requesting option.
The 437 Foxtrot Alpha, Pulse Tower, make right traffic, runway 31, and be advised areas of moderate and heavy precipitation are depicted approaching Palo Alto from the west, currently a line of beam the San Mateo Bridge inbound.
How do we look here?
High.
Right traffic for runway 317 Foxtrot Alpha.
We're going to be pretty long. We may need to go around. In fact, we need to go around. 4 Sierra Papa, I'd like to try landing on 1-3.
4 Sierra Papa, change to runway 13, you can make a teardrop at your distraction back to runway 13, current wind showing 180 at 3, runway 13, clear for the option on the go, left close traffic.
4 Sierra Papa, could we make a turn to the downwind and then to rejoin the downwind for left traffic?
4 Sierra Papa approved.
Thank you. Okay, you can turn right now.
Change into runway 13, change
Turn right now.
left base at runway 13 over the Dumbarton Bridge.
Left base over the Dumbarton Bridge for 137 Foxtrot Alpha.
And just keep turning. What we're going to do is we're going to make a 180 one way and then a 180 the other to be on the left, on a left downwind for 1-3. So tighten it up a little bit here. What I'm doing is I'm getting you in position for a left pattern for 1-3, so we can throttle back. We're going to go past the end of the runway a little bit. Remember, this is going to be power off. So just keep going this way, and we want to be close because we're going to make a left 180 to the downwind. See the windsock clearly favoring 1-3 right down here in front of the strut. You see it? Right behind the strut now. Okay, I'll point it out again. There's the other windsock. Again, wind's going from that direction. All right, tight left 180. Even a little tighter. Okay, I'm helping you a little bit here. Add a little power so we don't slow down too much. Nose up so we don't lose too much altitude. Wasn't that pretty? Yep. Nice, we're right at the right distance. Coming, you see the windsock now, just a beam of us next to the runway on our side?
Yeah.
Okay, power off. Power to idle, let the nose down so we continue to glide. We want to go about 30 degrees past the end of our point, which, you know, somewhere around the windsock. That's probably okay. And you're trimming up. I don't think you need to, right? We're
7 Foxtrot Alpha, number 2, follow south.
Look at our drift. See, we're drifting away from the airport.
Left base turn, wind 190 at 4, runway 13 clear for the option on the go, make left, close traffic.
Now, we're fairly low for an engine out. I wouldn't go flaps yet.
Hello?
Oh, yeah. You see it yet that we're low, that we're not real high? Okay, get yourself lined up. We've got a right crosswind. Now you can go flaps. And you could even go full flaps.
So slow, so let me...
See how different this is? We're easily going to be down now. Okay, let's power up and go around.
Cessna 7 Foxtrot Alpha, you're now number 1.
Number 1, 137 Foxtrot Alpha.
Oh, jeez. The birds.
Yeah.
Oh! All right, maybe one or two more. Up to you.
Yeah. Let's do 2 more.
Okay.
If it's a power off, we can...
I think we'll probably have to make a normal on this one because 7 Foxtrot Alpha is still a mile and a half out, but we'll see.
Laps. Couldn't get down on 3-1 because of the tailwind.
Yep.
Papa number 2, follow Cessna short final, runway 13, cleared for the option.
Number 2, clear for the option. Cessna 494 Papa.
Yeah, let me know when you see 7 Foxtrot Alpha. He's not, I don't think he's real short.
Right there. Right there.
Okay. Yeah, we can probably do a power off. Give it a couple more seconds. It'll be power off from a different place. Okay, you can go power off now.
Coming from my left.
Correct. So we're, at the moment, when I started to talk, we were below best glide speed, and into the wind, it's way below best glide speed. You have to increase speed a little bit when you're going into the wind to get the best distance across the ground. So we're pretty close to it now.
Terminating 7 Foxtrot Alpha.
That's the 7 Foxtrot Alpha, roger, right at the end, all the way on Zulu, contact ground, see you.
Remember, you got to wind from your right, so don't turn too soon.
Ground on Zulu, thank you much, NCU 77.
That's good. Okay, we can go right now. I got flaps to 10. And we'll make one more and be done. You can make any kind of landing you want.
Potential aircraft, flight to monitor precipitation throughout all of Palo Alto's airspace. Cessna 40 Papa, your number 1, runway 13 clear for the option.
Runway 13 clear for the option. Cessna 4940 Papa.
Just a little heads up, we're pretty close on the downwind this time.
Off now?
Sure, whatever you want to do. I'll note that we were a little long last time, so you can adjust your flap use to make us land a little shorter, but not much. You don't want to be short of the runway. This is much better on runway alignment. Try to get yourself rolling out right on the center line. We're turning a little, it worked out, perfect. Okay, good. Was that sweet or what? Nice. You can roll all the way to the end. We'll save a little time. I like it.
Sierra Papa, terminating.
Cessna 4940 Papa, on Zulu, contact ground. See ya.
Zulu contact ground, 4940 Sierra Papa. Thanks for your help.
Remember, we got to taxi that way and then that way. Can't taxi over the green.
Palo Alto ground, 4940 Papa at Zulu, going to Cable Road.
Look at all that rain. Light, moderate.
40 Papa, follow to ground, tax parking via Yankee 1, suggest Lima, Papa, Juliet.
Yankee 1, Lima, Papa, Yankee. Papa,
Juliet.
4940 Papa.
That's it animating. Pretty cool stuff.
So green
Light green is light precipitation, dark green is moderate, then it starts to go yellow, and then you'll see red and orange, and you don't want to go there. I don't like, yellow is okay if I'm an IFR, but I prefer to avoid the yellow. The red and the orange, don't go there. Very bad. Avoid like plague.
I was seeing light. I was all over.
Yeah, green's fine. And you can see this was perfectly flyable. Got good visibility, got good sealing. A little right rain doesn't hurt anything.
Right.
But starts to get moderate. You got to watch out. Wow, look at your wheel. Look at your wheel. Don't slow down too much. You see how the idea is to keep rolling, and you can see the water spraying off the wheel. It's very impressive spraying off this one. Yep, right turn. And you can see the water is kind of sprays right out of that center channel on the tire.
Yeah, I noticed that. Left one, like, is a little less.
Less
it has
worn?
less tread.
Or less tread.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very. Can you see what's going on over here on my side? See if you can lean over and see that. Can you see it?
Difficult.
Okay.
I'm sitting low.
Yeah, I get that. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of cool. Physics of water spray. It has to do with the viscosity of water and adhesion to rubber. Very neat. Yeah, I can't see yours either, so no surprise. So this is where we don't want to stop over a puddle, because if we apply a lot of power over a puddle, it sucks the water right. You see, it makes a little tornado. You can see it, and it sucks the water right up into the prop. And it's something to calculate. What the prop speed is, even at idle, 1,000 RPM. The tip speed's pretty high. Water hitting it at that velocity can actually erode the metal. So keep the airplane rolling. Don't get too slow in here. Yeah, we got standing water. We want to keep moving across the standing water so that vortex can't form and we suck water up into the prop. Excellent. No brakes. If you want to slow down, throttle back. That's it. I like it. Thousand RPM. Let's not foul up the plugs.